Today I have a very inspiring story to share with you guys. John is a 76-year-old retired office worker. He contacted me a few days ago via my Facebook page because he achieved something that you rarely hear about. He kept his GFR completely stable for 27 years despite having T2D and despite being in stage 3. John discovered 27 years ago that he had severely reduced GFR and that was caused by his T2D. His creatinine was too high and it was rapidly increasing. He needed to do something. Now, for many other people of his age, having these issues for 27 years means only one thing: ending up depending on the Big D machine for the rest of their life. But not for John. He achieved something absolutely remarkable. So let's hear from him now. This is the message he wrote in my Facebook page. 27 years ago, I discovered I had T2B and CRF. I have not reversed it, but I've kept my GFR completely stable. No decline at all, not even a single point for 27 years. And I think this must count for something, right? I got CRF in 1996 and my GFR was 47. Back then in 1996, I was 49 and I was told that I was going to end up depending on the Big D machine for the rest of my life. I'm now 76 and my GFR is still 47. No Big D machine for me. Probably all my adult life, I've always been a pursuer of good health in terms of eating right and exercise and so forth. But with CRF, I knew I had to up my game. In those years, I had some improvement and some decline, but I was always able to keep my T2D and my GFR under control. I checked my scores every time I had lab work to make sure that I was not deteriorating. I was surprised this month as my last test showed that my GFR was exactly what it was 27 years ago. I feel like I'm just 49 years old again. Okay, this is just amazing. Congratulations, John. What you achieved really is something worth striving for. And I don't say this lightly. You see, in the world of CRF, there is only one constant: a GFR that declines over the years. Seeing someone who was able to completely avoid that despite the fact that he is 76 years old is just amazing. Because you see, even in people without CRF, a declining GFR is to be expected when getting old, and that's completely normal. This is why I really believe that John did something amazing by keeping his GFR steady for all these years, and couldn't wait to interview him, really. Fortunately, he answered my messages and we talked a lot about the way he has been eating for these 27 years. He told me all about what made the difference for him. And there is one food in particular that he has been growing in his garden for all these years because he really believes in its properties. Now guys, the very first question I asked was about the way he has been eating for the last 27 years. It's not easy to find a way to eat that works so well for both T2D and CRF. But it's clear that John found a way. So John, can you tell us something more about the way you eat? Here's his answer. My nephrologist was a pioneer. He gave me a special way of eating already back then in 1996. He told me that it was called the rice diet. No one was doing that back in 1996, and I'm very lucky I found a nephrologist that was using this method because it worked very well on me. It's similar to what you call a low protein way of eating, and I've followed it for 27 years. I was a little worried 5 years ago because my nephrologist retired and I didn't know if I was going to find another one. But I'm still doing all my old one told me to do, and things are still going well. I'm still good in terms of eating right and exercise and so forth. Okay, thank you for sharing this. Now, it was a shock for me finding about someone who was given a LPD or something very similar to that back in 1996. A LPD is a way of eating that involves eating no high protein foods at all. No meat, no fish, no dairy. Even beans and nuts are usually only present in moderate amounts. So the LPD LPD can really help, but it is still finding its way very slowly in 2023, which is a shame because you know, this is a way of eating that can really make a difference. John is living proof of that. And this way of eating even works in people with T2D. We know this today. There are large studies supporting its efficacy in those with T2D. Now the thing is, the LPD wasn't common at all in 1996, so John was very lucky to find a competent nephrologist. Now the question is, can LPD really make a difference? But this is not a question for John, even if we are going to hear more from him. This is a question for science. You see, historically, there has always been mixed evidence in the possibility of the LPD of keeping people away from the big D machine. And the reason why there is still debate about the efficacy of this way of eating is just one: adherence. Adherence is a term very used in this field and very dear to all practitioners. It means the ability to stick to a plan or a regimen. You know, most people do not stick to their eating plans. People always start full of good intentions and then, sometimes after weeks, sometimes after months, they give up and switch back to their previous patterns. This is why many people, some nephrologists included, still believe that a LPD can't help you, and that's very bad. Today we know, thanks to a very large study, that the LPD can actually help those with T2D. Now this meta-analysis was conducted on 506 participants, all with CRF in stage from 1 to 3 and T2D. What they found out is that eating low amounts of protein every day means being able to slow down the decline of GFR, so it delays ESRD. And it's not just that. Proteinuria was also decreased significantly, according to this large meta-analysis, in those following a LPD. So to answer the question, why the LPD only works for some people and not for everyone? Well, according to science, the answer is adherence. And John can confirm that. John was able to stick to his plan for 27 years, and that's a remarkable achievement. It made all the difference for him. So I asked him, John, an LPD is not an easy plan to follow. How did you manage to be so successful with it? Here's his answer. I think there are several important things about the way I eat that made this possible. I've not had a single piece of meat since 1996. I've not had a single serving of dessert either. And another habit that I had always been good at, and that was eating greens. My new nephrologist says that eating green is great to keep an alkaline system. I heard you talking about the alkaline system too. So what I do is eating 6 servings of greens from my garden every day. And of fruit, of course. This makes everything easy. Yes, the alkaline way of eating. This is really important. Thank you, John, for bringing it up. Because when you stop eating meat and protein in general, you are not just delaying ESRF. You are also protecting your body from acidity and phosphorus. These are two of the most serious dangers for people with CRF in general, and I never see them being addressed with sufficient efficacy. You see, excess acidity in those with CRF is a condition called metabolic acidosis, and it causes a lot of issues. It's one of the main reasons why many people have too high potassium levels. For example, phosphorus is another underestimated problem. Extra phosphorus causes body changes that pull calcium out of your bones, making them weak. It's also dangerous for the cardiovascular system. And we can avoid all these issues with a diet lower in protein. But we must stick to it. This is why I also asked John, what advice would you give to someone who is just starting his journey with CRF? He answered, stop eating convenience food. That was the biggest change for me 27 years ago. I will never not appreciate how convenient food is in the US. From roadside restaurants and fast food to 24-hour grocery stores and popular fast-at-home food options, the United States food culture is all about filling you up fast and getting you on your way at any time during the day. I have learned it's both the greatest and worst thing in the world. Let let me explain. As my new nephrologist told me, Americans have a weird relationship with food. We don't treat it the way we should. We eat food not as an activity, but as an idle behavior. We watch TV, we eat. We are driving, we eat. Watching the game, we eat. We eat and snack at nearly every time in the day. It's not sectioned off at all. Eating food isn't respected enough to have its own place in our daily schedule. It is thrown into the mix with 500 other things. Okay, this is a very interesting point. Thank you for sharing. I'm not going to comment on that. But I believe John when he says that practicing mindful eating can help. Now I believe that you all want to know what food is the most helpful according to John. So I asked him, what are the foods you think help you most? And this is his answer. There is one food that I believe is really helping me. Well, more than one, but there is one in particular that I grow for its properties. I have been raised on a farm. I believe in the power of locally grown foods. I don't live in a farm anymore, but I still grow my own vegetables in my backyard. There is nothing better than homegrown foods. I have my own potatoes, my own lettuce, my own bell peppers, and my own squashes. I eat them every day. There is also one food that my nephrologist recommended me back in the days and that I've eaten daily since then. It's ginger. I grow my own ginger at home. The trick is to cover the plant when it's too cold outside. And I've been using it as a dressing for so many years and I really love it. I put it in my salad every day, at supper. Okay, this is great. Thank you, John. Reading this makes me want to grow my own veggies too. If I only had the time. By the way, John's favorite food, ginger, really is one of the most powerful and most beneficial superfoods you can find. Not many people know how helpful ginger actually is, but it has so many benefits. It can stop nausea almost immediately. It can reduce the inflammation in the body. And in those with T2D, ginger can help controlling sugar levels. Now, recent studies are examining one particular benefit of ginger that may be even more effective in slowing down CRF. Ginger can actually lower proteinuria levels. So if you want to try a very effective way to add ginger to your eating plan, this video up here is for you, and this is all for today. Thank you for watching. God bless.